Signposts by Saeed Qutb. Translation by Muhammad Al-Amrani. Mankind today stands on the brink of a precipice, not because of the looming threat of total annihilation hovering over its head, this being a symptom, not the underlying malady, but because it is deprived of the essential values necessary for its healthy development and genuine progress. Even the Western world admits that its civilization fails to offer any sound values capable of guiding humanity. It recognizes its own inability to furnish anything that could satisfy its conscience or justify its existence. Western democracy has reached a point of sterility so profound that it now resorts to borrowing from the systems of the Eastern Bloc, particularly in the economic sphere, under the guise of socialism. The situation is no different in the Eastern Bloc. Its social theories, particularly Marxism, initially attracted many from both the East and the West, presenting a way of life anchored in a creed. However, Marxism has now been defeated on the intellectual plane. It would not be an exaggeration to claim that no nation in the world today is genuinely Marxist. This theory fundamentally conflicts with human nature and its inherent needs. It thrives only in degenerate societies or those subjugated by prolonged dictatorship. Yet even under such conditions, its materialistic economic system is faltering, the very foundation upon which its structure was built. Russia, the leader of the communist countries, epitomizes this failure. Once a nation producing surplus food during the Tsarist era, it now faces food shortages and must import sustenance from abroad, selling its gold reserves to do so. The principal reason for this plight is the collapse of the collective farming system, or more precisely, the failure of a system that stands in opposition to human nature. It is imperative for humanity to embrace new leadership. The epoch of Western dominance is waning, not due to a decline in material wealth or a diminishment of economic and military might. Rather, the decline is rooted in the absence of those vital values that once propelled the West to its preeminent position. The new leadership must not only preserve and advance the tangible achievements of Europe's creative genius, but also introduce humanity to lofty ideals and values yet to be discovered. These values must guide humanity towards a way of life that is harmonious with human nature, inherently positive and constructive, and eminently practical. Islam as the beacon of hope. Islam stands as the sole system embodying these values and this harmonious way of life. The era of scientific resurgence, which commenced with the Renaissance in the 16th century and peaked in the 18th and 19th centuries, has exhausted its revitalizing spirit. All modern nationalistic and chauvinistic ideologies, along with the movements and theories they inspired, have lost their vigor. In essence, all man-made individual or collective theories have proven unsustainable and inadequate. At this critical and disorienting juncture, the time for Islam and the Muslim community has arrived. Islam does not impede material progress, but considers it an obligation bestowed upon man by God Almighty when he appointed him as Khalifa, or vicegerent, on earth. Under certain conditions, this pursuit of knowledge and innovation is regarded as worship of God and a fundamental purpose of human existence. And when your sustainer said to the angels, "Indeed, I will make upon the earth a Khalifa, vicegerent," Quran 2:30. "And I have not created jinn and humans except that they worship me," Quran 51:56. Thus the time has come for the Muslim community to fulfill the task that God has enjoined upon it. As the Quran declares, "You are indeed the best nation produced for mankind. You enjoin what is right and forbid what is wrong and believe in God." Quran 3:110. "And thus we have made you a median community, that you will be witnesses over the people, and the messenger will be a witness over you." Quran 2:143. Islam cannot fulfill its role except by manifesting itself within a society, indeed a nation, for humanity, especially in this age, does not heed abstract theories unless they are embodied in a living society. From this perspective, we must acknowledge that the true Muslim community has been dormant for centuries. This Muslim community does not refer to a specific land where Islam once thrived, nor does it denote people whose ancestors lived under Islamic principles. Rather, it signifies a group of people whose manners, thoughts, rules, values and criteria are all derived from the Islamic source. This authentic Muslim community ceased to exist the moment the laws of God were suspended on earth. If Islam is to reclaim its role as the leader of mankind, it is imperative to restore the Muslim community to its original form. We must revive this community buried under the weight of man-made traditions accumulated over generations and crushed under false laws and customs that bear no relation to Islamic teachings, despite being labeled the world of Islam. I am aware that there is a significant gap between the attempt at revival and the achievement of leadership. The Muslim community has long vanished from existence and observation, and leadership has passed to other ideologies and nations. This was the era in which Europe's genius flourished, producing remarkable advancements in science, culture, law and material production, propelling humanity to new heights of creativity and comfort. It is not easy to find fault with the creators of such marvels, particularly when the so-called world of Islam is devoid of these achievements. Nevertheless, it is essential to revive Islam. The path from revival to world leadership may be arduous and fraught with difficulties, but the first step towards revival must be taken. To undertake our task with insight and wisdom, we must first clearly understand the qualities that enable the Muslim community to fulfill its obligation as the world's leader. This understanding is crucial to avoid errors in the initial stages of reconstruction and revival. The Muslim community today is neither capable of nor required to present great genius in material inventions that would compel the world to acknowledge its supremacy and thus re-establish its leadership. Europe's creative prowess in this area is far advanced, and for centuries to come, it is unrealistic to expect to surpass Europe in these fields. Therefore, we must possess another quality that modern civilization lacks. This does not mean neglecting material progress. We should also devote our full attention and effort to this endeavor. Not because it is essential for achieving world leadership at this stage, but because it is vital for our existence. Islam itself, which elevates man to the position of Khalifa, vicegerent of God on earth, and considers the responsibilities of this vicegerency as worship of God Almighty and the purpose of human creation, makes material progress obligatory for us. To attain the leadership of mankind, we must offer something beyond material progress. This essential quality can only be a faith and a way of life that, while conserving the benefits of modern science and technology, fulfills basic human needs with the same level of excellence that technology has achieved in the realm of material comfort. This faith and way of life must then be embodied in a human society, in other words, in a true Muslim society. If we examine the sources and foundations of contemporary lifestyles, it becomes evident that the entire world is enveloped in Jahiliyyah. All the remarkable material comforts and advanced inventions do not mitigate this ignorance. This Jahiliyyah is rooted in rebellion against God's sovereignty on earth. It usurps one of God's greatest attributes, sovereignty, and bestows it upon man, making some men sustainers over others. This is no longer the simple and primitive Jahiliyyah of ancient times. It now manifests as the assertion that the right to create values, legislate rules of collective behavior, and choose any way of life belongs solely to men, disregarding what God Almighty has prescribed. The consequence of this rebellion against God's authority is the oppression of His creation. Thus, the humiliation of the common man under communist systems and the exploitation of individuals and nations driven by capitalist greed and imperialism are direct outcomes of denying God's authority and the inherent dignity He has bestowed upon humanity. In this context, Islam's way of life is unique. In systems other than Islam, some people end up worshipping others in various forms. Only in the Islamic way of life do all individuals become free from the servitude of man to man and devote themselves to the worship of God alone, seeking guidance solely from Him and bowing only to Him. Here is where paths diverge, and here lies the unique concept we possess and can offer to mankind. This and the way of life it organizes for all practical aspects of human existence. But as previously stated, the beauty of this new system cannot be fully appreciated unless it takes a concrete form. Hence, it is essential for a community to organize its affairs according to this system and present it to the world. To achieve this, we need to initiate a movement for Islamic revival in some Muslim country. Only such a revivalist movement can eventually attain the status of world leadership, regardless of whether the journey is short or long. It is necessary for there to be a vanguard that embarks on this noble mission. With determination, this vanguard must set out and persist on the path, navigating through the vast ocean of Jahiliyyah that has enveloped the entire world. Throughout their journey, they must maintain a degree of separation from this pervasive ignorance while still retaining some connections to it. It is crucial for this vanguard to be familiar with the landmarks and signposts on the road to their goal. They must recognize their starting point, understand the nature and responsibilities of their mission, and grasp the ultimate purpose of their long journey. Moreover, they need to be aware of their position relative to this widespread Jahiliyyah, when to cooperate with others and when to distance themselves, what characteristics and qualities to cultivate, and what attributes the surrounding Jahiliyyah possesses, how to communicate with the people of Jahiliyyah in the language of Islam, and what topics and issues to address, and where and how to seek guidance in all these matters. The signposts of this journey will be illuminated by the light of the primary source of this faith, the Holy Quran, along with its fundamental teachings and the concepts it instilled in the minds of the first group of Muslims. These were the individuals whom God raised to fulfill His will, who once redirected the course of human history in accordance with God's decree. In writing signposts, I have sought to provide a guide for this vanguard, which I see as a reality waiting to be realized. 4 chapters have been adapted from my commentary, In the Shade of the Quran, with slight modifications to suit this topic. The introduction and other chapters were written at various times. In these chapters I have articulated the profound truths I have grasped during my contemplation of the way of life presented in the Holy Quran. Although these thoughts may seem random and disconnected, they share a common theme. They are signposts on the road, and it is the nature of signposts to be distinct yet collectively significant. Together these writings constitute the first installment of a series, and with God's help I intend to produce more collections on this topic. Guidance comes from God Almighty, Sayyid Qutb.